Okay, welcome to the start of a brand new anime review series. This is Combatants Will Be Dispatched. Anime review episode number 1. This one discussing the first 2 episodes of the series because, well, like mostly anyways, a lot of the time I watch these things dubbed. Now, let me show off the book that this. Now, this one I thought was quite strange because I own the first 2 books for this series. Yes, I own the books for the series. Kind of like I did with Dead March Hero Rhapsody and Cautious Hero, why I basically read the book physically instead of just basically read all digitally. It happens on this very book right here, the very first book of the series, and it's very long. It's 250 pages, this book. And the 2 episodes adapt the very first 2 chapters of the book, from what I can tell. Yes. Yes, the 2 chapters. They skip over the prelude. Yeah, they skip over the prelude. The prelude is not in the actual episode itself. They go straight to chapter 1. Like the first episode covers chapter 1, which is basically 60 pages. The second chapter is covered in episode 2, which here's the thing. The title for episode 1 is called Spies Will Be Dispatched, which is also the first chapter of the book. The actual title for the episode for the episode chapter 2, this one they actually did change. Yes, they changed it to Annihilate Your Business Rivals. In the actual book, it's called Ravage Our Rivals. That's simply what it's called. It's a lengthy chapter. It's almost like 40 pages. It's 38 pages long. Yes. Now, the characters introduced here. We have Combat Agent number 6. Yes, that is seriously the guy's name. He does not have an actual name. He is voiced by Brandon Babbler, who actually does a really good job. He's very similar to... look at him. He looks like Sato from Konosuba. Well, there's a reason why. It's done with the same guy who does Konosuba. Oh, in case you wonder who this smoking hot woman on the cover, that is Snow. In the anime, in the English dub, she's voiced by Amanda Lee Connors. Yep, that is seriously who voices her. Oh yeah, and she's technically not on the cover, but I will show off these other characters who appeared in these 2 episodes. We have Alice. Yes. And you're probably thinking, a blonde, short blonde woman who is kind of, let's say, has evil intentions. This isn't very familiar. It's Monica Rail. Yep. And for me, anyways, it's my 29th series I've heard her voice. Like 29, that's a lot. So that's how Marceri. Yes, of course, she along with Snow, and of course, Combat 6 all made their debuts in episode 1. We also debut a few other characters here. We have Astaroth. She's voiced by Mother Frederick. She has a thing for 6. You also have Flaming Bow. She's voiced by Molly Carisi. There's also Black Lilith, who's voiced by Emily Knives, and of course the Princess, who's voiced by Brian Appel. I believe this is the same woman who voiced. Oh yeah, the same woman who voiced Krista Lenz, aka Astoria Ross from Attack on Titan. She's also Melody in Fairy Tail. She's also Aniko, for the third and fourth seasons of the show because they replaced her actors. She was also an absolute voicing Julie Sagtia. I believe she was also the star of that. I think she's like the people lead of the series. She's also in Seraph the End, Dragon Academy, which I have not covered yet, but I'll cover in the future. So either not. Let's see. She was also in My Hero Academia. She voices... Let's see if I can find her. She voices... Oh yeah, she voices the Vine girl. She voices Vine from My Hero Academia. Yeah, she appears in the current season. Let's see. She also appeared in Another World with My Smartphone. She appears as Mimosa in Black Clover. Still currently doing it. I think the anime is almost over. She's also in Dragon Ball Super, voicing the Bola baby. She also voiced Coca. I think she's from Universe 2. Let's see. She's also in Fire Force as Makito. And she also is In Konosuba Love is War as Nagisa. Oh yeah, she's also in Quintessel Quintuplets as Yoshiba, the one who's kind of a airhead. Yes. Emily Knives. People do know this woman as the voice of Eri from My Hero Academia. Yep. But that's not the only series I've heard her in. No. She's also Undyne in Black Clover. She's also voice of Alice in Alaska Ranch. I will be doing another video for that. Don't worry about that. And, well, that's it for at least a few series. Now, Rose is voiced by Krista Rathrock. This one I'm not really familiar with her. Like, this may be the first series I've heard her in. She does a pretty good, she does an okay job voicing her. I mean, she's only like a year older than I am. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Aside from this series, let's see. Stuff she's been in that I have seen. She was in Cautious Hero, Card Captor Sakura, of course, this series. Death March Parallel Rhapsody, she appeared in a couple episodes of the series. Dr. Stone, Dragon Ball Super, she voiced Sal Ross. I believe it's one of the Ultimate Heroes combatants from the final season show. Oh yeah, it's Rosie. Yeah. Yeah, the pink hair girl. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's see. She's also in Fairy Tail. How not to say, but she's voice of Elgard. I believe she's going to come back this current season because she's actually in the current season for about 2 episodes. And now on my smartphone, it's a pop-up series. It's a pop-up. Mm-hmm. She's also in Love Tyrants, which I have to watch it last year. My Hero Academia, I think she's voices. She's probably just occasional attacker. She's also in Tokyo Re. And that's it for her. Yep. Now, in the case of Grimm, she's voiced by Brittany Kowalski. Yeah, great voice actress she is. And I gotta say, she does a really good job. She voiced Abbas from My Hero Academia, My Hero One Piece. She's also with Home Aqua's brother as Pride, Slim Brady. She was also in Sawyer as Black Star. Yes, Black Star, who by appearance-wise, some people might mistake Black Star for similar to, well, appearance-wise, might be similar to Snow. Yeah. She was also in Fairy Tail voicing Windy. Yes, the voice of Windy's in this series. Attack on Titan. Voice Hitch, the one who's very lazy. Let's see. She's also in Masumi as Poppy. Great character she is. Let's see. I have not seen The Time I Got Reincarnated as Slime, so I haven't watched it yet. She's also in To Love Ru. And that's it for her. Mm-hmm. Now, pretty much for these episodes, like what they adapted from the chapter they did from, they're really accurate to the source material. Now, before I continue, one thing I thought was really neat about this is that the company who makes this series, JC Staff, which people know them as the people behind One Punch Man Season 2, they did kind of work on Konosuba, but they were not the original people who made the series. No, they did work on the Konosuba movie. Yes, they worked on the movie. The one that came out 2 years ago. Yeah, they worked on the Konosuba movie. And these people are also the ones did Is It Wrong to Girls Dungeon. So I'm very familiar with these people, and the animation looks freaking gorgeous. Yep. Let's see. Aside from Is It Wrong to Girls Dungeon, of course, One Punch Man Season 2, is there any other series I've seen that they've done? At least some reviews for. Sword of Aurora. That's another one right there. And I'm thinking that's it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else here. I think he's also working on Witchcraft Works, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was Witchcraft Works. So a few series, so at least got handled. At least looks really good. Also, I should point out that Princess Tellus, appearance-wise, when I first saw this character in the anime, She looked a lot like Princess Iris, appearance-wise, from Konosuba. Obviously, because the same guy worked in both series. Though Iris herself, her first appearance is actually the book that's not been adapted yet. Nope, her first appearance is actually in book 6 of the series. Which, I should point out, though, that one of the guys behind Konosuba, who was working on the second season of Rise of Hero, he was asked about third season. He says, it's possible. There's not that there can't be a season 3. I'm sure he probably would love to work on season 3, but he's probably pretty busy working on season 2 for Rise of Hero, which is coming out in 5 months. Now, thing starts off like pretty much spot on as usual, like because they don't have the prelude for this one, because that takes place sometime in the future, because they eventually that agent used to work for them, so that takes place sometime in the future. Don't know when. My guess is the reason why they skipped over that, and this is my personal theory, probably because the prelude wasn't really necessary to adapt, so they start directly from the start of Chapter 1. We have Agent 6, Flaming Astra, and Flaming Bali. Just basically, like, mention about like the Kawasaki Corporation. They are an evil organization. They're like a evil secret society, which I've read basically looks down on Here's something quite unique about them. That if I think, oh, they're evil. Do they accept pedophiles? No, they hate them. They hate pedophiles. They think they're disgusting. So apparently their policy is if anyone's caught being a pedophile, they're automatically shot on sight without any questions asked. At least you know who to contact when you want to get rid of a child molester. I know that's not a joke. It's just something that basically that I read that they do. So this organization doesn't exist in real life, so don't contact them. Okay, and that's not a joke. That is something that just a thing that I would. It just words. It means nothing. All right, moving on from that, we have it where. Like, so, oh yeah, we need to conquer this world, and we need to send you there, so we use the Black Lilith right here, like, really quickly. Yeah, and she's voiced by Emily Knives, who does a pretty good job voicing her. I mean, aside from this episode, the only other time you can see her from this one scene is you see her in the, like, preview for the next episode, and it's the same voice actress, which thank God for that. So... And there's a lot of stuff basically related to the novel that they keep a lot in. Like, for example, they use the teleporters, which both in the novel and in the anime, heck, even in the manga that adapts this, he says, look at some of the old sci-fi movie, which, yeah, that's true. They also mentioned that they actually have conquered most of the world. And they need more places to conquer. So they basically have a few planets, and they come across this one world. Doesn't have particularly of a name, but does have countries there. So he is sent there with a high-spec, pretty girl android. That is seriously what she's called. She is Alice Kurosaki. That's what she called herself. Yes, Alice Kurosaki, which that's the name of the company that basically owns her. She's created by Lilith, and she's a little girl android. So, of course, he calls her Hunkerton because he mentioned he doesn't like kids. And it was also mentioned that Agent 6 is a cyborg. Yep, he is, in fact, a cyborg because he's got cybernetic enhancements that he's had. And it's mentioned in the book that he was recruited out of high school in order to join this organization. How old he is never really stated in the series. I mean, by appearance-wise, it could be in his early 20s. He says he's been a founding member. He's been a member of the organization for a long time. And it's also hinted at that him and Freezing Astra have got a thing for each other. Yeah, it's very heavily hinted at. And he stated openly in the first episode that he wanted to become her husband. Which doesn't go anywhere as far as I can tell. I'm not really sure because I've only read just the first book. So he just basically it's like, yes, like give her a hug goodbye instead of basically give her a hug or maybe even a kiss. So basically just kicks him right in the teleporter. And of course doesn't want to go. And he's transported right back. Transported right to the new world in this like deserted area where He and Alice have got no weapons, and they have the parachute. But here's something quite unique about the parachute. If you take it off, and this is just in the first episode, you don't see the parachute ever again. Like, where does this parachute make return? Yes, it does. It makes a return toward the end of book 1. Yeah, it pops up toward the end. I think it's like during the second last chapter of the book. Yes, because that's when the princess of the kingdom finds out about what the real deal is about these guys. They're yes, and then they come across these creatures, which they kill a small number of them. And of course, Alice gives herself a shotgun. Yes, and before I think, oh yeah, it's like, I got a shotgun. That's something from Resident Evil. So you get something like an old-fashioned pump-handle pop-action shotgun to kill some of them. Of course, Agent 6 is not without weapons. He's got a small pistol. Though he only uses it just in this episode. But here's the thing about Agent 6. He has this one big thing common with Sato. And what's they have in common? They're both perverts. Yep, they're both perverts. Yep, so he doesn't do anything to Alice per se. She does one thing, try to get him to do something to her, but doesn't do anything because she's a robot. But yeah, he never does anything to Alice at all. And plus, I love the way Monica Real does the whole thing of like, after the monsters, of course, and they're confronted by Snow, making her first appearance in the series. And, well, they kind of have her in the outfit from the cover, which I do appreciate the anime basically pulling that. Like, having her, like, spot on from the actual look from the book. Heck, even Agent 6, even he's got his outfit, too. Alice herself, yes, everybody's got their outfits from the actual book itself. There's no really major change here. Like Alice here. Though, appearance-wise, if you look closely at her, she looks a lot like Tanya from Saga Tiny Evil. Yes, appearance-wise, she looks almost exactly like her. Same hair color, heck, same clothing, like she does. And it's a good thing that Funimation recruited her to voice Monica voicer. Makes total sense. I mean, who are you going to get to voice a blonde-haired little girl who's also kind of evil? Monica Real's the best choice because she did Saga Tiny Evil. Yep. Which like I said, that choice made total sense to do. And of course, she has a little girl impression where he basically just calls Snow Lady Snow. Of course, mentions that Agent 6 basically bopped his head a couple times and somewhat of an idiot and leave Alice all the talking. Oh yeah, because she's short, she has to get like stools to stand on. Like they have her standing on like these small stones that come out of nowhere. Or like a big wooden box, because how short she is, because she's basically a former little girl. Which I thought was kind of hilarious. Which, here's the thing. Nobody calls her out to be a little girl except for Agent 6. He's the only one who does. Well, mostly just the first episode. She mentioned it a couple times because she's not much of a combat android. Like, oh yeah, her only internal function is she can self-destruct. That's it. So, they're brought to the city by Snow, who basically agrees to help. And of course, they think of the princess. And of course, they bow to her. And of course, before they get in there, I love the fact they kept this scene in. But I kind of thought this was a bit later, but like just interested to get to see this, where they see an actual tank. And I at least got handed the fact that now in the book they didn't show a picture of this, but in the manga they did. Appearance-wise, it looks like a World War I tank. And even Agent 6 pointed out, though, that's a tank. Where do you guys get the tank? It's, that's an ancient relic we've had here for a long time. Even Alice nowhere like, that was something to research later. Probably would be. And then they go inside, meet the princess. And of course, Snow gets a little annoyed at Agent 6. Now, they do cut some minor bits here and there. So, they get inside and have to walk about for a bit. Then, of course, they come across this big weather machine. Now, in the book, I thought the way they described it would look like a bit small. The way they described it in the book, it was described to be a bit smaller than it was, not a big, gigantic cube. So I was like, I'll fix this, no problem. And the thing is, in the book, she actually mentioned she would contact the corporation for some supplies, which she doesn't know that. She basically just has this joke completely out of nowhere, which they cut the explanation for that here, which doesn't really affect much of the story. So they fix the thing like, oh, need new password. And what does it choose? Dick Festival. That's literally what he chooses. And apparently the prince just happened to be walking by. Also, they kept in Snow's line before she left to kill the princess that, oh yeah, she had the credit, whatever. Which that's actually from this line right here, from the old page of the book. Yeah, I'm glad the fact they kept it in for the dub, which I thought was so good. So then it said punishing him. Of course, see the king first time this episode. So punish him, put him in charge of a squad under the command of the princess, and have Snow be his executive. Excuse me. So. Of course, Alice basically handled the healing and strategy portion. And what's the point of Snow? Probably just keep her around because she needs the money, because apparently she got demoted, and apparently she's in debt because she's obsessed with collecting swords. So she's in massive debt. So they recruit like 3 people, like they mentioned, with this god of like Ashra or whatever, which is an ADO man. Which I'm glad they kept that in, and then they bring up Alice. And it had this funny bit with both acting evil when he kind of introduced himself, of course. And apparently Six basically just loves it. So basically, both him and Alice probably agree that Rose is definitely a good fit because she's a chimera. And at least I hint the fact the scene actually plays out pretty much the same as it says in the book. And then we introduce the Grimm. Oh boy, this is quite hilarious. Now, scene-wise, looks exactly the same. Except they did make a small change here. What her underwear looks like. Because they described in the book as sort of like a thong. In the show, they went with the manga version of the underwear, that the panties she wears in the manga. Yeah, and she has this thing where, like, oh, why'd you put a ring on? It's like where she has this thing where she basically frequently tries to get age 6 to marry her just because they saw her in her underwear. Yep. And of course, that's your team. Basically, and it's pointed at him later on, I think in episode 2. It's like, yeah, it's me and a bunch of chicks. Which, yeah, that accuratizes basically their group. And then they go into combat for the first time. Well, not actually, no. They stay on the sidelines. Grimm, of course, falls asleep. Also, she mentioned they do cut the small little bit here of mentioning she's an archpriest. All they mentioned her in the episode, she's sort of like a religious zealot or whatever. They keep that. I'm not sure why they kept the fact that she's described as an archbishop. Like she mentioned, she's a worshiper of the god of destruction and undead, well, disaster and undead. And apparently her ability says she can cast curses. Okay. Fine. So then, of course, they think like, okay, we need to stop this battle quickly, have the retreat, attack the supply lines. And, of course, well, they do. And then, like, after they hit the supply lines, of course, Rose mentions, oh, yeah, she needs to eat something. So then we have Helene, I think her name is. Let's see if I can find her here. Let's see if I can find her here. Her name, yeah, Helene of the Flames. Which they actually do change the wording of what he says in the book. He's like, oh, you're a leader class, and she's like, yep, I'm a demon. Well, demon general. In the book, basically, he says, oh, by appearance wise, you must be a general. And well, he guessed right. And of course, he tends to chase her around for a bit. Her Griffin gets shot by Alice, and then, well, the guy of the Earth, guys of the Earth shows up, and he's voiced by Chris Rogers. Yes, I can tell by the voice. I had to look up, like, wait, oh yeah, it's Chris Rogers, the guy who voiced Hercule from Dragon Ball Super. He shows up and has a brief fight with Six, and he has to be called away because he's gonna miss a battle because somebody of the water is gonna take his glory. So he flies away. Also, the first thing he does show up, he apparently kills Grimm, though it's pointed out though she basically can resurrect no problem. They get to her temple, and they cut the bit where they placed it where in the book and in the manga they use sock to resurrect her. Here they use some toys. I'm not really sure why. That doesn't really affect the scene. I just thought that was quite strange. My guess is used socks probably would not be as interesting to look at visually, so they placed it with some toys. And she gets resurrected. And of course, everybody goes on their merry way, and of course, Sex stays there, and they somehow get her like one of the corporation's like fancy wheelchairs. Of course, they run in the desert, runs into people, and they kind of basically rush the scene a bit when they have this because it's a bit longer in the book itself. Because here it's like really quick, like knocking through the couples. Of course, there's a female police officer, which in the book, Grimm kicks her in the leg. In the show, kicks her in the face. And there's a mention about assaulting a police officer, which they cut that out here. And this bit was a little bit longer in the book as well, where she tried to cast her first before, it didn't really work. And they cast another spell where she caused her to, they changed it to Dizzy spell in the book, and in the manga, they referred to it as Vertigo. So she has that. And they actually got the bit where he got a complaint about it. And I think that's it. Right? Did that happen here? Yeah. And of course, there's this funny bit in the post credits, like the conference room, where Six sends back a picture of Elaine. And of course, she mentions before, like, oh, her breast has the same exact size. So it's like, and of course, it's pointed out there to like, yeah, it's definitely true. Yep. But not much else to say about these two episodes. They're pretty good, funny, and I thoroughly enjoy them. And, well, that's all been dubbed so far. I mean, I'm still waiting when they release another episode dubbed. Yep. Now, originally I was going to do our last Crusade of the Rise of the World first, then this one. But I figured, though, it's only 2 episodes. It shouldn't take me too long to get through these 2 episodes. Yep. So, yeah, that's it for this review. Stay tuned for my next video, which will be our last Crusade of the Rise of the World. That'll be up soon. I'll put it up after I put this video up, okay? So, video. Bye.